Hello, Miramar. I'm Commissioner Yvette Colbourne. Welcome to the Miramar Commission Corner. The Miramar Commission Corner is where we share with you some of our initiatives and highlights of city services. Today we're talking about Juneteenth, and to help us with that conversation, we have Rudy Jean Bart from Broward College. He's the Associate Dean at Broward College. So hello, Rudy. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me, Commissioner Colbourne. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here. I know you have a busy schedule, but you're taking time out of your schedule to come out and talk with our audience today, and I so appreciate it. Last year, we had you as a guest speaker at our first Juneteenth, and this year, you are coming back to help us to celebrate it again. But I wanted to bring you on Commission Corner so that you can tell us a little bit more about Juneteenth. You did such a wonderful speech last year, and I want to be able to expand the audience that will hear some of the stuff that you said and some of the things that they can expect this year. So if you would be so kind to, before you do that, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Absolutely. So it was just such an honor last year to speak with the good folks of Miramar. My parents live in Miramar.
Oh, great.
I lived in Miramar for several years. So I felt like a homecoming in essence. So as far as myself, grew up in Miami, Florida. When we were 17, we moved to Miramar, which was just a wonderful change that we needed, right? And so I think that Miramar definitely had an impact on my development, and I'm grateful for that.
That is so good to hear.
Yes. I'm a graduate of Florida A&M University, the Rattlers, and so eventually I became a professor of African American history and American history. And at the end of 2020, I became the Associate Dean of Criminal Justice at Broward College. Been working at that institution for 14 years. Just been very fortunate to have encountered thousands of students who have impacted me and have been kind enough to share that I have impacted them. Many of them being Miramar students and some of them going through Miramar High School and various schools in Miramar. So it's just been an honor to be a South Floridian, period, and to be able to speak with you. This is definitely something that I count my good fortunes for.
Well, it's our honor to have you here, and I know some of the audience out there, they're saying 14 years. What did he start when he was a kid? So, but it's really a lot of pride to see that you have finished your college, a Miramar resident, finished your college and gone on to be Associate Dean right here at our local Broward College. So that's wonderful.
Yes.
But you majored in African American Studies.
Yes.
And Juneteenth, what does that mean to you for us to be celebrating Juneteenth as a federal holiday?
It's definitely needed, and it does bring me to that statement that if some of us are not free, then all of us are not free, right? And I think that Juneteenth does speak to a need to recognize collective liberation, right? When we think of Juneteenth and the fact that it is something that occurred in Galveston, Texas, some have thought, well, why are we celebrating nationally?
Yes.
What happened in a specific location? But again, we cannot honor the formerly enslaved and their liberation without truly recognizing and celebrating Juneteenth, because even though you have it where the Civil War comes to an end in April 9th, 1865, you still had members who were enslaved who were not aware of that, right? And so not only is that the case in Galveston, Texas, where Juneteenth takes place June 19th, 1865, but even in the state of Florida, right? So the Emancipation Day in Florida is celebrated on May 20th because it wasn't until May 20th of 1865 that many Floridians who were enslaved were therefore informed of their freedom, right? And so I think Juneteenth being recognized nationally is of the utmost importance, but we can't stop at celebrating it. We have to truly live it, and those are two different things.
Well, you know, that's so true. And I think the first thing that we need to understand is what is Juneteenth? And you know, because it is a new holiday, and some people are asking, what is Juneteenth? So it is good to know that you will come on here and explain that, because before we can truly celebrate it, you know, really know how to celebrate it, really know how to live it.
Right.
You know, we have to know what it is first of all. So I totally appreciate that discussion on that. And you said May 20th.
Yes.
Really would be Florida's Juneteenth.
Correct. Correct.
So that's an interesting date for us to really record and make sure that we're aware of that as well. You know, I always think that too many of us don't have enough history. You know, we don't pay enough attention to history. So it's really good that we have you here. So how do you feel about the different ways that Juneteenth is being celebrated? I know in some communities they're having family days. Last year we had a very nice dinner, you know, national speakers, yourself as a speaker as well. We had arts and a display of beautiful African art, and we had drummers as well. How do you feel about what are the different communities are doing and how they're celebrating?
I think it's very impactful, right? And what we're seeing is an expansion of the celebration, but it's also important to recognize that really for the very longest you had members of the Black community in Texas honoring and celebrating Juneteenth,
That
right?
is true.
You have it where it was definitely a big festival environment, where you had athletic games, you had individuals from the business community, people were dressed in their finest, right? And so there was this consistent acknowledgement within the Black communities of Texas, especially within the Galveston area and other places, where Juneteenth was everything, right? You prepared arduously for Juneteenth. You were excited about it. And it also spoke to the testament of legacy. One of the things I'm really big about is the importance of legacy and is the importance of recognizing our past. One of the things you've made mention of, which is absolutely true, is a lot of people are not familiar with history. And one of those things that is often mentioned is, you know, if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. But in another instance, if you don't know your history, in particular, the important and impactful people, then you may not be able to repeat the good, right? When we think about individuals as far as our own legacies, who we come from, whether it be our grandparents, great-grandparents, things of that nature, then we can't really continue the legacy in a way that is instrumental. Last year, as you mentioned, I had the chance to be one of the guest speakers. The other one being the daughter of my hero, right, Malcolm X, so Dr. Ilya Shabazz. And what strikes me about her is how familiar, even though she was very young when her father passed away, she knows about the legacy of her father. And you could see it ooze out of her, right? And so that's just a microcosm of what needs to happen throughout this country, where we know about our history so we know what to repeat and also what not to repeat. And Juneteenth is definitely emblematic of that.
Well, wonderful. You know, I like to think that one of the reasons we should know history is because we have to pass that on to our kids as well.
Yes.
If we don't know it, then there's no way that we can teach our kids history. So I do think history is very important, and you know, African American history certainly needs to be taught to our kids. So our celebration this year is going to be held on Monday, June 19th, 11 a.m. To 3 p.m. So I look forward. You are going to be one of our speakers. We have a lineup of many individuals here in the community, and we certainly look forward to continue to celebrating it. if I can ask you one more time to just tell us what Juneteenth is and
Absolutely.
why should we celebrate it?
Yes. Juneteenth is the date, June 19th, 1865, where you had it, where General Field Order number 3 was shared with the enslaved in Galveston, Texas, letting them know that they are now free, that slavery is over. And so it's 2 months after slavery essentially ended, because slavery really ended with the conclusion of the Civil War. And it should be celebrated again because, look, we're not all free until all of us are free. And even if some of us are not free, then we're not free ourselves, right? And so for America to recognize this holiday, it's of utmost importance to definitely try to live to the aspirations of our spirit, that being independence and liberation.
In the city of Miramar, we have a very diverse community, and it's always good for us to share that culture, that different cultures in our city, and this is another opportunity for us to do that, and that's what we will be doing on June 19th.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being part of this segment of Commission Corner. Until next time, stay well, stay healthy, and stay empowered.